Planning Commission Public Meeting held in Spector Hall, 22 Reade Street. Today is Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. As a courtesy during the proceedings, we ask that you please turn off all cell phones and beepers. All speakers should fill out a speaker's card at the desk outside of Spector Hall. In addition, we ask that those providing testimony please identify yourself, limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and speak clearly into the microphone. I will now call the roll. Chair Lago. Here. Vice Chairman Knuckles.
Here.
Commissioner Bessa.
Here.
Commissioner Cantor. Commissioner Cerullo.
Here.
Commissioner DeLuz.
Here.
Commissioner Dweck.
Here.
Commissioner Edie.
Here.
Commissioner Efron.
Here.
Commissioner Knight.
Here.
Commissioner Levin.
Here.
Commissioner Marin.
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Here.
A quorum is present. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, June 7th, 2017.
On the minutes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved.
Scheduling. On calendar numbers 1 through 9, we have resolutions for adoption. Scheduling Wednesday, July 12th, 2017 for a public hearing to be held in Spector Hall, 22 Reade Street.
On the resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Or the resolutions are adopted.
Thank you. The next part of the calendar is the report section on page 74. Borough of the Bronx, calendar numbers 10 through 15. Calendar number 10, CD 12, C170217 PPX. Calendar number 11, C170218 ZMX. Calendar number 12, N170219 ZRX. Calendar number 13, C170221 ZSX. Calendar number 14, C170222 ZSX. Calendar number 15, C170223 ZSX. In the matter of applications for disposition of city-owned property, zoning map and zoning text amendments, and for the grant of special permits concerning Leicester Square. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 10 through 15, Chair Lago. Vice Chairman Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor.
Yes.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLuz.
First, excuse me, because I'm losing my voice. Leicester Square represents, in my opinion, a missed opportunity to maximize publicly owned land for public benefit. Given the parameters excuse me, of the RFP, this developer has done their best to try to balance the original focus of the RFP, primarily retail development, with the public's other desires, mainly affordable housing and some level of open space. But in an environment where publicly owned land is in short supply, and the public is increasingly demanding that the maximum public benefit is realized on public land, I think this proposal still falls short, as evidenced by the testimony we heard and the petitions we received. I vote no on items 10, 13, and 14, and I vote yes on items 11, 12, and 15 relating to changing the zoning and establishing an MIHA.
Commissioner Dweck. Yes. Commissioner Edie.
Yes.
Commissioner Efron.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner Levin.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz.
I would like to associate myself with the comments made by Commissioner DeLuz and reiterate there really was an opportunity at the outset to find a solution here that was more amenable. However, I do believe that this will be a positive addition to the community and to the overall retail landscape, so I vote yes.
Okay. Commission. Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 10 through 15. Borough of Manhattan, calendar number 16, CD6, C170158 ZSM. In the matter of an application for the grant of a special permit concerning 34th Street Heliport. For a favorable report on calendar number 16, Chair Lago.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor. Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLuz.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck. Commissioner Edie.
Yes.
Commissioner Efron.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner Levin.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 16. Borough of Manhattan, calendar number 17, CD 11, C170269 PCM. In the matter of an application for the site selection and acquisition of property concerning the Department of Sanitation, District 11 Garage. For a favorable report on calendar number 17, Chair Lago.
I'd like to preface my vote with a few comments. This is the first of 2 votes on city-sponsored projects that are coming before the Commission today. And these are especially significant votes because it is the city bringing it forward rather than private applications. In this instance, the sanitation garage, we almost know going in that it will be controversial given the nature of the use. We also know that the sanitation department provides us with essential, invaluable services. I want to reflect on the fact and observe and thank the sanitation commissioner herself for not only coming and testifying, but for staying to hear all of the other speakers, most of whom were in opposition. I also very much appreciate the fact that the responses that we got to a series of questions came from the commissioner herself. I do think on this project, it is going to be important how the project actually operates going forward. And in particular, I would highlight two facets of it. One is the commissioner's statement that trucks would not be parked on the street as they are at the current facility, the current outdated facility. And so would call upon the department to honor that commitment that the trucks actually are on site. The second observation is to thank the commission for having highlighted the issue of odors. As a result of the commission's questioning, the commissioner has agreed to increase the frequency of the washing of the trucks, which I think is an improvement, and has also committed that if odors are a problem, to again increase the frequency of the washing. My final observation has to do with what happens going forward in a longer time frame. The commissioner indicated that the long-term solution is to find a permanent home for not just this facility, but ideally for a multi-district facility on city-owned land. When the city owns the land, it allows a much sounder capital planning project, a greater investment, and we have heard frequent reference to the current three-district garage on Spring Street on the border of Soho and Tribeca facility that stands out. I think there's a high watermark of a facility that operates well, that is held to high design standards, and I would certainly hold out the challenge to the department to look for a site, a city-owned site that would serve this district and adjoining districts, and where the city could invest to create a first-class facility. And with that, I vote yes.
Vice Chairman Nichols?
Yes.
Commissioner Besser?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor?
Yes.
Commissioner Cerullo?
Yes.
Commissioner De La Hoz?
First, I'd also like to associate myself with the chair's comments. This is a challenging application because its shortcomings could have been avoided had past administrations taken seriously the need plan for the city's sanitation needs for this community. I believe that the Department of Sanitation must make this move, and that despite the site's shortcomings, it is the best option at this time. While I support the application, I'm going to abstain because I believe there remain some opportunities to address the community's concerns, even though the Department of Sanitation and the Commissioner have committed to making some operational changes. I believe further commitments to address the community's concerns will be made. For that, I abstain.
Commissioner Dweck?
Yes.
Commissioner Edie?
Echoing the comments of the chair, I vote yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Efron?
I'd also like to associate myself with the remarks of the chair and say that when the Department of Sanitation invests in good design in a neighborhood, it has an added benefit of giving the public confidence in public agencies, and that is something that we can't even place a value on. So important. So I vote yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Levin?
Well, I certainly share the comments, thoughts of Chair Lago and of Commissioner De La Hoz, but I believe there's, and I recognize that this facility is necessary as a temporary measure, and I appreciate the written commitments that we've gotten from the current sanitation commissioner that they are looking at this as a temporary solution and will continue their efforts to find a permanent home. But I believe at this point in this process, we really need a concrete and enforceable commitment by the city to a new permanent garage that's built to the standards that DSNY is capable of and justifiably proud of, and that this community deserves. Otherwise, what's being approved today as a temporary facility could very easily become permanent. And that to me is unacceptable, so I abstain.
Commissioner Marin,
No.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 17. Borough of Manhattan, calendar number 18, CD2, C170280 CSM, in the matter of an application for the grant of a special permit concerning 62 Reade Street. For a favorable report on calendar number 18, Chair Lago,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor.
Yes.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner De La Hoz.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Edie.
Yes.
Commissioner Efron.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Commissioner Levin.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 18. Borough of Manhattan, calendar numbers 19 through 22. Calendar number 19, City 11, C170226 ZMM. Calendar number 20, N170227 ZRM. Calendar number 21, C170228 CSM. Calendar number 22, C170229 CSM. In the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments and for the grant of special permits concerning ECF East 96th Street. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 19 through 22, Chair Lago.
This is the second city-sponsored application, and it could not be more different. Unlike a sanitation garage, this is an instance where we are looking at 3 public schools and a jointly operated playground for the schools during the day and available to the general public during other hours. The fact that these are facilities that are generally welcomed by neighborhoods is reflected in the vote of the community board, which was overwhelmingly in favor of the proposal. This project, however, also has raised issues because the way in which these schools, these sorely needed schools, are being financed is through the ECF in partnership with the construction of housing, including affordable housing, under the MIH. I want to harken back to a comment that the Commission made during the public hearing, that we are asking a lot of this site. That is absolutely true. But in voting yes, I want to note that this is a site of which we can ask a lot, and also that this site is different from other sites. This is a site, a full block site, a large portion of which is going to be occupied with the open space, the jointly operated playground, a site bordered by 3 wide streets. And in voting yes, I want to emphasize that I do not view the Commission as setting a precedent of saying that throughout East Harlem, buildings of this height are appropriate. We are asked to make and are making a determination only about this particular site. I would also note that this is an unusual situation in that the proposal originally started with replacing 1 school on the site, and at the request of the council member, the speaker, we added 2 additional schools. And as we learned about the conditions of the 2 other schools, it became evident that there was a prime need. And so because I believe that this site uniquely is appropriate for this particular program, I vote yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles.
I agree substantially with the rationale of the chair. It is a very unique fact pattern, and on that basis, I vote yes.
Commissioner Bessa.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor.
Yes.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner De La Hoz.
Though I'm not comfortable with the height of this project at this location, I agree with the chair's points about this project not becoming a precedent for the neighborhood. I'm going to reluctantly vote yes, given all of the real public benefits that this project delivers, and quite honestly, the lack of other options that exist in the community. I especially want to point out that investing in a vocational high school is critical. There's tremendous demand for such an institution, and I'm glad that this project will be bringing up this one with multiple schools.
Commissioner Dweck.
I'd like to associate myself with the comments of the chairman and vote yes.
Commissioner Edie.
Yes.
Commissioner Efron.
I would like to thank Chair Lago for her insightful remarks today. There are times when the review process for a project, most times, yields a far better result for the community and the city. This is not one of them. At 63 stories, effectively nearly double the height of the next tallest building anywhere between the Bronx and Midtown, the building is simply not in context for the neighborhood nor any of the immediately surrounding neighborhoods from where the building will be seen forever. Furthermore, I do not believe that aggregating 3 expanded high schools on a single block is current best practice for school siting. The decision to have the Marx Brothers Park given over the exclusive use of the high schools and therefore unavailable to the elderly or preschool children before the late afternoon in a neighborhood poised for a rezoning seems short-sighted. Nonetheless, the ability to finance school construction in a resource-constrained time is a compelling one. Creating affordable housing in the gateway block between the Upper East Side and East Harlem is also paramount. I only wish that a better plan to achieve both of these goals had been possible. This is a unique site. It is a full block bounded by 2 avenues and a wide street with a park on it. Therefore, the project's height should not be a precedent for future actions, as stated by the chair. It should not be deemed to create context for nor a model of any sort of good planning in East Harlem, on the Upper East Side, nor in my opinion any neighborhood in the city. With this in mind and on the record, I vote yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Levin?
Well, I certainly, the public benefits in this project really can't be gainsaid. We need the 3 new schools. We need the permanent affordable housing that this project will bring. We need the refurbished, jointly owned playground space. I can't remember what job stands for, but anyway, the big chunk of open space that we need this. But this project is being achieved through a public-private partnership where, in my view, the private is being asked to carry simply too much public. And the price is a tower that belongs in Midtown. To me, context remains important, particularly at a location like this that hasn't seen development of this scale. And from a planning and an urban design perspective, which is our responsibility here, I just think this is a wrong area, so I abstain.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz?
I continue to have concerns about this project. I really do believe it sets us up for an impossible compromise between the need for 3 new schools and affordable housing and the desire for building that does not dwarf its neighbors with a size that's nearly double surrounding buildings in under my neighborhood context. I agree that these public benefits are wonderful. I do believe there may have been opportunities to find other solutions that did not require so much of this site. For that reason, I abstain.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 19 through 22. Borough of Staten Island, calendar number 23, CD3, N170326 RCR, in the matter of an application for the grant of a certification concerning 665 Annandale Road for adoption on calendar number 23. Chair Longo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Odessa?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor? Commissioner Cerullo?
Yes.
Commissioner De La Hoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Dueck? Commissioner Edie?
Yes.
Commissioner Efron?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes.
Calendar number 23 has been adopted. Borough of Staten Island, calendar number 24, CD3, N170103 RCR, in the matter of an application for the grant of a certification concerning 274 Pylon Avenue for adoption on calendar number 24. Chair Longo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor? Commissioner Cerullo?
Yes.
Commissioner De La Hoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Dueck?
Yes.
Commissioner Edie?
Yes.
Commissioner Efron?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes.
Calendar number 18 has been adopted. I'm sorry, calendar number 24 has been adopted. Borough of Staten Island, calendar number 25, CD3, N170023 RCR, in the matter of an application for the grant of a certification concerning 222 and 228 Getz Avenue for adoption on calendar number 25. Chair Longo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor? Commissioner Cerullo? Commissioner De La Hoz?
Yes.
Commissioner Dueck? Commissioner Edie?
Yes.
Commissioner Efron?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight? Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes.
Calendar number 25 has been adopted. Borough of Staten Island, calendar number 26, CD3 N170342, RCR, in the matter of an application for the grant of a certification concerning 28 Monday Street for adoption on calendar number 26. Chair Longo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Knuckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Bessa?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantor? Commissioner Cerullo?
Yes.
Commissioner DeLuce?
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck? Commissioner Edie?
Yes.
Commissioner Front?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight? Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes.
Calendar number 26 has been adopted. The next part of the calendar is the public hearing section on page 90. Borough of Manhattan, calendar number 27, CD2 C160349CXM. A public hearing in the matter of an application for the grant of a special permit concerning 40 Worcester Street.
I would welcome to come forward to the team presentation, Frank Angelino and Ron Eliza. And this is for a total of maximum of 10 minutes.
Thank you. Joe Marshall, Commissioners, good morning. My name is Frank Angelino, and I represent 40 Worcester Restoration LLC, which is the applicant of this special permit. It's a 74-711 special permit which seeks waivers of M15B regulations to permit approximately 1,800 square feet ground floor retail space and approximately 10,700 square feet of residential units, 4 units, on floors 2 to 6 of this building. It's significant, I think, that the name of the owner is 40 Worcester Restoration, because having the word restoration, keys into the meeting requirements of 74-711. It was required that the restoration demonstrate, such as small, handsome buildings, which was designed by relatively anonymous architects, as many buildings in Soho were, fulfills the preservation purpose within the definition of the statute that the Landmarks Preservation Commission must determine in order to write this report, which was sent to you and it's in your briefing package, asking for the change of use. The report that you received also has a certificate of appropriateness and the certificate of no exterior effect, which indicates in a page-long recitation of all of the restoration work that must be done to this building. This is just a narrow front facade of this small building on a 2,500-foot site. This is the side elevation. The restoration, which was proposed by Lisa Easton of Easton Architects, preservation architect, is a complete restoration of this 2-century-old building. Brickwork, new wooden windows, restoring the story, the whole side, eliminating unhistoric elements of the building and replacing it with historic elements. It is a complete restoration which led the Landmarks Preservation Commission to determine that it met the statute, the portion of the statute that they are concerned with, which is the restoration portion. Now, the owner is seeking to have an arts-related use. There's a second portion of the application, of course, which is your mandate, and that is the finding of the special permit, to see that this building does not, has a minimal adverse effect on the neighborhood by this conversion. The ground floor space, which is only about 1,800 square feet of rental space, the owner would like that to be an arts-related use, and he is agreed at the request of the Borough President to work with the Economic Development Corporation and the Consumer Affairs, Cultural Affairs Department in order to find an arts-related tenant. The owner is also working with a not-for-profit group which has been active in the community, in the Soho community, known as Indie Space. And I've been asked to pass out this letter from Indie Space addressed to the chair and the commission.
If you would give it to the secretary, please, and we'll be glad to look at it. Thank you.
I won't read you the letter, but I'll read you a pertinent portion of the letter. You're free, of course, to look at the entire letter, but the pertinent portion of the letter indicates that they have been discussing and meeting with the owner of this building around Eliasa of 40 Worcester Street. And Indie Space, they're very excited about Indie Space's mission of permanent real estate for indie theater makers and our support of local artists in Soho. We've been discussing ideas for an ongoing relationship that would provide ground floor space in his building to artists after hours, after the hours that a retail space or an art gallery or some similar arts-related use would be there. There is available, making the space have a dual purpose. So making the space available to artists after hours, or in the alternative, for clusters of a week or two at a time, continuously when retail is typically slow in the city. In the meantime, as we're sorting through the details as he's going through the ULA process, the owner has offered to donate the use of this amazing ground floor, that's the words of Indie Space, not mine, amazing ground floor retail space for us for 1 month. We would like to use this time to explore the use of the space and how it could best serve local artists going forward. So they don't know exactly how they're going to use the space. This 1 month period that the owner has offered them would give them the opportunity to see how they would use the space, and they would know best whether a specific cluster of time or periods of time during the year would work best. But in any event, we are working with them in order to meet, and this all relates to the findings about having crucial need met in Soho, and that is the loss of a lot of rehearsal space and other theater space. So we're trying to satisfy the findings of 74-711 that the change in use requested will have a minimal adverse effect on the building and the neighborhood. And I think that with this, it could be said that it would have a positive effect and benefit for the building, the neighborhood, and the arts, which help define the M15B district and so in close. So with that, I'll rest. And the second speaker is the owner of the building, but it's not necessary for him to speak unless there are some specific questions and the chair has.
For the commissioners, thank you, Mr. Angelino. Questions from the commission? Commissioner Lutton.
Mr. Angelino, thanks for your presentation. You managed to cover most of the things I wanted to ask you about. The community board had one additional concern here, which is one that they typically raise on these, or we see a lot of these change of use applications in Soho. And the community board routinely asks us to not allow eating and drinking establishments on the ground floors are being allowed to convert to retail. Does this ground floor physically lend itself to, and I think the community board's concern is out of the quality of life issues that frequently arise when bars and restaurants are located in residential, in areas that have a large concentration of residents. Does this ground floor even lend itself to an eating or drinking establishment?
I don't believe so, but in any event, the owner has no objection to limiting the use, to limit it so that there is no bar, restaurant, or similar type use that's objectionable to the community in this location.
So is the plan to, will this be a condominium project where the floors will be sold out and then who will own the retail space?
The owner will continue to own the retail space.
So we can continue to rely on that commitment from the owner that eating and drinking is not in his plans on it. Except personally. You don't need to die.
That would give a new meaning to starving artists. Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Ortiz.
Hi, one question. You mentioned that on the ground floor there will be an attempt to bring in artistic use of some sort and that you're working with EDC. I do know that in CB2, they've requested something similar and have added that they would like the space to be free of charge. I mentioned that's a challenging thing to do, but could you just speak to the owner's perspective on rents, which we know sometimes can undermine the ability to host the kind of activity that they're looking to attract in?
I believe what the community board was addressing was they wanted the space for the arts-related use in these spaces or similar to have the space free of charge, which the owner agrees with. As to the retail tenant, they would be in a lease arrangement with the art gallery or whatever, and that would be, I assume, a market rate lease. But the arts component would be offered free of charge.
Thank you for that clarification.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Thank you. Mr. Angelino, the commitment not to lease the ground floor space to a eating or drinking establishment, how is that memorialized? What kind of covenant does the owner make and with whom?
The only memorial so far is in the community board resolution. It could be a condition of the special permit, the granting special permit, which would memorialize it.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from the commission? We do not have anyone else signed up to speak on this matter, but if there's anyone present who would like to, that would be the time. Okay, then the hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Angelino.
Thank you.
Borough of Brooklyn, calendar number 28, CD8, C170086, CSK. A public hearing in the matter of an application for the grant of special permit concerning 120 Kingston Avenue.
The first person speaking in support is Jordan Most.
Good morning. So I'm Jordan Most from Brian Cage, the Applicant's Land Use Council. Also have Sonia Conselica from the architect, Charles Deal Architects, and also Benjamin Baum from the ownership entity who will field any questions or if there are sort of operation-related questions. I'll just speak briefly. This is a 74711 application to modify the use regulations of 2210 to reestablish use group 6 commercial use, specifically the Kingston Lounge in the cellar and ground floor of the building located at 120 Kingston Avenue, as well as accessory commercial signage. The building is located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Kingston Avenue and Reade Street. The corner of the premises does not have a commercial overlay, never did. The three other corners at this intersection do have C13 overlays. And the Kingston Lounge was in place when the R6 zoning was mapped in 1961. Since it was the only commercial use at this corner, city planning likely regarded the site as too small for a commercial overlay. It was, of course, allowed to remain as a legal non-conforming use and did so for many years. But with the eventual discontinuance of the non-conforming commercial use that the Kingston Lounge was, for an extended period of time, for about 15 years, it was discontinued and the building really became vacant in early, about 2001, 2002. The right to the commercial use as a legal non-conforming use was lost since that, and also in connection with the placement of the property in the Crown Heights North Historic District in 2007, meant that there really was no opportunity to restore the commercial use in the ground floor and the cellar of this building without a special action. Hence, we're here. The new owner is pursuing this 74-711 special permit as the vehicle to restore the commercial use, and specifically the Kingston Lounge. 74-711, of course, applies to buildings located in historic districts and individual landmarks, and permits modification of the use regulations and the bulk regulations. We're only seeking modification of the use regulations. There's no bulk change proposed in connection with this application. And of course, incidental to this application is, to this project, is the restoration of 4 residential units in the building. The building is completely vacant, and there will be 2 residential units on each the second and third floors of the 3-story building. I think probably a good point to actually have Sonia Casella, she'll just speak for a moment about the landmark-related issues.
Okay, our next speaker, Sonia Casella. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm from the firm of Charlesville Architect. I'm privileged to be the architect for this project. Just to speak briefly from a preservation point of view about this building, as you can see, we have some photos showing what was left of the Kingston Lounge storefront in 1980 there on the bottom left photo. So what's shown in the renderings is our attempt to recreate perhaps what the streamlined style storefront there may have looked like in the 1940s when it was originally created. So it's a very unique and special project because it isn't just about restoring the exterior of a building that visually makes a contribution to a historic district, but restoring the Kingston Lounge, which had cultural importance in the neighborhood within the jazz scene of the time, and really providing a nice spot for the neighborhood.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. There may be questions.
Sure.
Questions for Most or for Mr. Most or Ms. Casella from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Efron.
I do have a question. I'm not sure who it falls to, but given that it closed in 1980 before the no smoking in interiors law passed and there might be smokers going outside, is there any plan for them to be positioned someplace not where it would be, how do I say, less objectionable to the neighborhood?
There is a small open area in the rear yard, and part of the approval that we got from landmarks was there are currently 2 door openings from the lounge into this rear yard, and we're adding a third so that it can be used as an exterior space accessory to the restaurant. So that would be a place where smokers could go instead of standing out on the street.
Thank you for that very thoughtful answer.
Other questions? Commissioner Ortiz.
I'm struck by the images. I believe this is a 1940 tax photo, previous to the occupancy by the King.
Correct.
Yeah, and so I find it interesting. There were seem to be significant alterations by the lounge to the building, and yet we're looking at this as a landmark building. Could you sort of speak to the decision to retain those alterations as opposed to go to something that was perhaps more traditional and appropriate for the building? Of course. So with the building, originally in 1902, it was all residential. There wasn't a storefront. So even the storefront that you can see in the 1940s photo, that was already a modification. When the Kingston Lounge came along, that was further modification. And so when we went to landmarks, we had the opportunity to restore basically any of those prehistoric conditions because they're all considered historic for different reasons. And the Kingston Lounge exterior was chosen because it's to reflect the use that we hope to have on the inside. And again, that what was done there in the 1940s is considered historic now, not just because of the passing of time, but also because the Kingston Lounge itself had such cultural importance. Thank you.
Other questions from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Levitt.
Yes, I have questions about how the open space that's attached to this project and that you mentioned as being part of the landmarks approval and so on. How is that going to relate to its surroundings. Is it under any residential, are there residences that will look down into the open space?
The open space is...
Or have the potential for noise or smoke to penetrate surrounding residents?
I guess that potential would be there. You can see here on our floor plan, Eastern Avenue is here, this is the Vernon Street side.
Mr. Salika, if you could speak into the microphones so that it will be recorded. Thank you.
Or take the mic.
Maybe we'll take the microphone.
Even better. So you can see the small open area here at the rear. So there would be a gate here onto Reade Street, which was approved by landmarks. And then it's 11 feet wide by 18 feet deep. And yes, there would be residential windows directly above this.
Okay, and what's by your right hand? What's on that part of the, is there a building that's right next to it?
Yes. So there are row houses, brownstones starting here and extending on Reade Street. So yes, in a sense, this is surrounded by residential uses, and so it would be up to the owner, which the owner has already expressed to community board to be sensitive to the residential character of the immediate block in terms of opening hours. We're going to design the floor structure and the wall structure to make sure that there's as much noise mitigation as possible.
And so what would the hours of operation be for the outdoor portion?
For the outdoor portion, none of the hours of operation really have been set yet by the tenant, but the intent is to match the rhythm of the neighborhood and not to create a disruption.
Yes, Commissioner Arfon.
Will there be automatic door closers on the doors leading into I'm wondering if that's one of your mitigation plans. So that...
Yes, generally any exterior door would have an automatic closer.
Other questions from the commission? There are no other speakers who have registered to speak on this item, but if there's anyone present who would like to, now's the time. If not, thank you to the applicants, and the public hearing is closed.
Borough of Brooklyn, calendar number 29, CD3, C170304H8K. A public hearing in the matter of application for UDEP designation, project approval and disposition of city-owned property concerning 1618 Fulton Street.
Our first speaker to report is Dan Moran.
Good morning. My name is Dan Moran, and I'm a planner with the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development. I'm here to present 1618 Fulton Street, an 11-story, 100% affordable, mixed-use development project that will result in 103 affordable housing units and over 13,000 square feet of neighborhood retail space for Bed-Stuy. I'm joined here today by representatives from the development team, including BFC Partners and SMJ Development, and the project architect, Shakespeare Gordon Watt. The development site is a 15,200 square foot assemblage of private and publicly owned land on the south side of Fulton Street between Albany and Troy Avenues. The site is primarily zoned R7D and is an inclusionary housing designated area, permitting a maximum FAR of 5.6. The lot is overlaid with a C24 commercial overlay, allowing for and in fact requiring retail frontage along Fulton Street. The development site is on the easternmost end of the Bed-Stuy Gateway Business Improvement District and would provide over 13,000 square feet of retail space to contribute to the commercial vibrancy of Fulton Street. The city-owned site, subject to the current ULURP action, comprises approximately 6,400 square feet, or 42% of the development site. Surrounding the city-owned sites are 5 5 lots owned by the project sponsor, comprising approximately 8,800 square feet of lot area, 58% of the development site. The Commission has before it a ULURP application for UDAP, which is Urban Development Action Area Program designation, project approval, and disposition of city-owned land. The city proposes to convey the project area, comprising 3 city-owned lots, to the project sponsor, who would carry out construction of the proposed building, own and operate it thereafter. The city, in exchange for the conveyance of public land and the subsidization of affordable housing units, would record a regulatory agreement against the land, requiring the developer and any future owners of the site to rent restrict the apartment units at a mix of affordability levels. As you can see from the irregular shape of the city lots, and I'm going to point them out now. This one, and the one in the back. We are pleased to team up with SMJ and BFC to assemble this parcel because we can build a more efficient project with a greater number of affordable housing units and a continuous retail space along Fulton Street. Representatives from the development team and the architecture team have also signed up to testify after me, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time for HP.
Questions from the Commission? Commissioner Wood.
Yes, Mr. Moran, I have a question that I guess I asked at the review session, and I would be interested in HPD's thoughts on this. You mentioned, and it's evident from our materials, that a substantial portion of the site is city-owned, 42%. And as you know better than most, it's on city-owned land that we can achieve the most we possibly can for affordable housing. So I'm curious about how the AMI levels for this project were settled on, and whether you considered pushing for greater levels of affordability, deeper levels of affordability, given the relatively large amount of this project site that is city-owned.
So the project is being financed under HPD's M Square program, which is a mixed middle income program. It allows for affordability levels as low as 50% AMI and up to 165% AMI. The distribution is between 60 and 130. And I defer to the development team to speak a little bit about why that particular affordability program was proposed. But if you look at the city-owned sites, which are essentially a U shape with a little bit of a tail at the back, developed alone, they're not feasible for production of a large number of units. I mean, we could build maybe 15 units maximum on a city-owned site. There's one lot that has no street frontage and is essentially useless to develop on its own. So we view this as a really good opportunity to team up with the development team on the proposed projects, and they've proposed M Square as a feasible solution to this site, and in part taking into account the high acquisition costs of that site and the private sites that they did acquire.
Yes, Commissioner Walsh.
Thank you. So, without going through the entire report that our president and chairman should be in the review session, can you speak to the borough president's concerns? Yes, several of them. My specific question would be to request that the unit mix be 50% occupancy percentage to accommodate and
So currently, I believe about 30% of the units are family size. At this point, all 2-bedroom units, and that's compliant with the M Square term sheet. And it reflects what we're seeing through our marketing data, which is that there's actually the largest number of applications that we receive for housing is in the smaller unit sizes. So our data is showing that we need more smaller units. In addition, being able to fit in more units is because smaller units allow for a larger unit count per project. We're able to house more families, and that's obviously a priority for administration.
but with the M2 program, the 3-bedroom units?
Excuse me?
Would the M2 program include the creation of 3-bedroom units?
It allows it, but it no longer requires the inclusion of the
Would the developer, the applicant be able to include some 3-bedroom units?
The developer will be speaking next, so maybe you can pose a question.
Commissioner Levitt, apologies, sir. No, I'm done. Other questions? Yes, Vice Chair Nichols.
Could you speak to the height of this building in relation to other pre-existing buildings? I see the perspective here. It seems like some may approach the height, but could you just speak more specifically to what the heights are of surrounding multifamily buildings?
Yeah, so the building is directly adjacent to a parking lot, which services the Lawrence H. Woodward Funeral Home across Troy Avenue. So on this side is a parking lot, and in fact, we don't anticipate anything to be developed there. Across the street is the Risley Dent Towers, which are 6-story, kind of lots of open space, what you might call tower in the park kind of construction. 6-story. They're much smaller than what we're presenting, but 6 stories and lots of open space as well, directly across the street. Down the street, you see 2 projects that were actually financed by HPD, the Garvey and Bradford. And I'm forgetting exactly how tall they are, but they're about between 9 and 11 stories each, maybe around 10. So our project is 11 stories, 112 feet high, compliant with the R7D zoning that's in place. We set back above the 9th level. And the architect can maybe speak a little bit to how they propose to attenuate the height on this site.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Moran? Thank you. And we'll move on to our next speaker, Juan Barahona.
Good morning, members of the Commission. My name is Juan Barahona, and I'm the principal of SMJ Development, who's developing this project in partnership with BFC Partners. I guess I'd like to just kind of dive into some of the questions, especially from Commissioner Levin, that relate to the affordability. So as Dan stated, the project is approximately 40% city-owned, 60% privately owned. So I spent the better part of 2016 assembling the disparate parts of this site, dealing with 3 separate owners. And as much as I would have liked to have negotiated a better price for the acquisition for affordable housing, that just wasn't concerned with the seller. So I think we ended up overall with a land basis that works. Unfortunately, it seems to work best with the M-squared program, which is the city's middle income housing program. We have actually been working since HPD changed its term sheets for the lower income programs. We have been trying to work with the agency to see if we can drive down affordability. It's a work in progress, as you know. So that's the effort, the ongoing effort, which I think we'll be engaged in probably until we close this in December. I think I just wanted to drive home the point that for anybody who's familiar with this stretch of Fulton Street, this part of it isn't in great shape. It doesn't look like there was much possibilities there. And I think through some determination, we were going to come out and round out the corner here. BRP development, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, they did the Garvey and the Acacia on the corner. So we're rounding out, we're following their lead, so to speak, and doing a middle income project here, which actually was one of the concerns for the community board. I spent met with the community board on 4 or 5 separate occasions to kind of get them comfortable with what was happening here. And I think, the vote that you see from the community board level will attest to their comfort level. That's kind of the overarching theme on how we got to the affordability that we're projecting here. With respect to the 3 bedrooms, the irony is this project, when it was first conceived of, did have the requirement to requisite 3 bedrooms. And as you are probably well aware, HPD's kind of financing programs incentivize number of units over size of units, right? So as the construction costs have kind of escalated, low-income housing tax credit pricing has been flattening. The gap, has been opening up. The retail market on this stretch of Fulton is not that strong. And so we had to kind of sharpen our pencils and go back, and I think that the least obnoxious change, in my opinion, was increasing the unit count from 96 originally, which included 15% 3 bedrooms, to 103 units overall, which increased the overall count, but didn't eliminate the 2 bedrooms. I'm sorry, the 3 bedrooms, they were 2s.
Questions for
That's
Mr.
my
Bartlett? Yes, Commissioner Evans.
Thank you. During the hearings for the MIH citywide, there was a developer, private developer of affordable housing, who mentioned that there really was an unmet need for middle-income housing. Do you agree? Is there an unmet need for middle-income affordable housing?
Actually, I think I would agree that there is definitely a need for affordable housing. So I would disagree with whoever did.
Middle-income affordable housing, you said.
There is definitely a need for middle-income affordable housing. It's probably one of the harder ones to meet. As you see a majority of the applications that come through from HUD are probably on the lower income side. They benefit from the strength of the low-income housing tax credit to offset some of the costs. You don't have that once you go above 80% AMI. So what you really have to do is try to find a site that will work and where the numbers will work for that. One of the first things I did when chasing down the site was actually met with Councilman Corney. And I was very frank in what I was trying to accomplish here. And he, and how I was going to be able to do it. And that was a very candid conversation at the time about not only needing Article 11 support because of the lack of force majeure at the time, but also about what that meant in terms of providing a higher income tier, as my competitor colleagues have done down the block. And he stated that he would like to. There is actually a relatively high concentration of low-income housing units. There's a Grizzly Dent, there's a Section 8 building, a Section 8 property across the street. There's another Section 8 portfolio, a block and a half away, and then the Garvey is actually an entirely low-income building. So the council member expressed a need for some income diversity, which was a pleasant surprise. They usually arguing in the opposite direction. But he sees, in his opinion, he thought that we weren't going to exacerbate the gentrification problem that's prevalent in Bed-Stuy through these 50 or so apartments that were at the higher income levels, but actually we're going to offer some housing opportunities that otherwise might not have been possible had we not spent a year assembling the site. So that's it. If you have any more questions.
Yes, Commissioner Webb.
I don't know if it's so much of a question or rather a comment. I heard your comments related to the sharpening the pencil on the project, changing the unit count, but if there's a way to bring back some 3-bedroom units to 70 go a long way from my
Absolutely. I'm committed to every stop of the way on the ULO process, hearing people's concerns and trying my best to meet them. Actually, since we informed the community board of the change, they expressed some reservations because they were initially happy with the 3-bedroom home. So now we're going to try to offset that with more affordability, or maybe bring back the unit.
Back to 3-bedroom. I grew up with one brother and 2 sisters. I can't imagine growing up with 2-bedroom.
I hear you. So I think.
Other questions from the commission from Mr. Bottomore? Yes, Commissioner Bottomore.
It's nice to see you, and thank you for such a sort of thoughtful, detailed narrative about how this project came to be, and it sort of represents a lot of work and a commitment to getting something done here, so good on that. What's the back of this building going to look like? It's going to overhang a low area.
That's a great segue, Commissioner Levin. Great. I'm going to bring up the architect.
Okay.
I think you're going to be pleased with what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me first check to see if there are other questions for Mr. Bottomore. Okay, if not, then our next speaker is going to be Matt Gordon.
Let me just get some additional boards here.
There's actually a handout with the rear elevation. We didn't get a chance.
Thank you. My name is Mark Gordon. I am a principal with Shakespeare Gordon Lyle Architect, and very pleased to be associated with this project and collaborating with Juan and his team from BFC. So, just I guess to start into the building itself. I'll try to keep it brief and then give you all the questions. The building consists, as I think you know, of 10 stories of housing. That is from the 2nd to the 11th floor. We have a ground level that includes retail, which fronts the street. And then we have a lower level, which includes building support spaces and tenant amenities. We've got a gym, bike storage, we've got a children's playroom down there. So we're trying to create a vibrant community feel. We've got the plans. I don't want the boards to take over. We've arranged the units in such a manner that the entrance is in the center, and then we have a double-loaded corridor. The idea is that way no tenant is disproportionately going to have to walk too far. And with that in mind, really the design concept is to take the existing as-of-right envelope and to create essentially a set of interlocking volumes that the purpose of which is to begin to try to de-emphasize the building's overall mass and create a dignified facade on the street side, and with a dark masonry material, we're using dark brick, and on the rear we're using a lighter, sort of more mottled brick that's appropriate for the rear gardens. The selection of materials comes kind of as an inspiration from the neighborhood, which has a rich masonry vocabulary, as I'm sure you can imagine or know if you've been there. And it is designed in a sense to be taken out of those masonry materials and reused in a more contemporary manner. We have some accent details as well. As you can see with accent colors of brick, we're using high-performing windows. We have a degree of sustainable design that we think is consistent, if not exceeding the city standards. We're complying with Enterprise Green Communities guidelines, which means we exceed the city's energy requirements by 15%. And we're doing that with a number of means. We've got low water use fixtures, we've got LED lights where we have our own lights. We have a very high performing building envelope that consists of uniform and consistent R13 insulation, R30 roof.
There will be a number of questions.
Okay.
It's recorded, and I'll pause it.
I figured there would.
Thank you. The developer mentioned that there was a setback on the 9th floor.
Yes.
Not floors 10 and 11. What happens at that point? It's hard to tell from the records.
Sure. So setback is on the street side. At the 9th floor, it sets back 10 feet, and there's a terrace on that level that's open to those units on the 10th floor. And on the rear, there is, if I can just demonstrate here, there's a large open terrace that is above the retail or the commercial space on the ground floor. And that's essentially a green roof with individual and common area terraces for residents, and that'll be planted, and that's also serves as a way for us to contain rainwater along with our internal rainwater detention system that we have in the building.
Other questions for Mr. Gordon? Thank you very much. There are no other speakers registered on this item, but if anyone in the audience is so moved, now is the time. Okay, this public hearing is closed.
Borough of Brooklyn, calendar numbers 30 and 31. Calendar number 30, CD2, C170029, ZMK. Calendar number 31, N170030, ZRK. A public hearing in a matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments concerning 50 11th Street rezoning.
There will be a 10-minute presentation by the applicant team comprised of Caroline Harris, John Wolfman, and available for questions, Joe Bieber and Chris Copeland.
Good morning, commissioners. It's always nice to see you. I'm Caroline Harris from Goldman Harris. Goldman Harris represents ICL, which is the leading provider of services and housing for the mentally ill, including and the development for the disabled. They currently have 2,400 units of housing for those populations, including 1,200 congregate care and 1,200 scatter site units. It is a leading provider of service in the city. This proposed rezoning of a portion of a block along 15 Evans, the intersection of Nevins Street and Schermerhorn, from a C61 to a C64, will facilitate the enlargement of their existing building to become a 7.43 FAR building and include 128 units of housing, 51 units used what would be residential for affordable units for people who are not part of their program serving the mentally ill, and 77 units of supportive housing serving their population. All of the units will be affordable, 100% affordable building, and the services that are being provided for the supportive housing will also, if needed, be available to people who live in the building. This model of integrating the mentally ill with people who are not in need of those services for mentally ill. I wouldn't say everybody who's not in a program is mentally ill, but they're not categorized by that by ICL. This is a state-of-the-art approach to working with people who have mental disabilities and being able to streamline those who are most able into an integrated living environment, integrated from all perspectives, meaning mental health and not mental health. It's not an integrated building from an economic viewpoint, it's all affordable units. I know at the hearing, the review session, there was a question raised about whether we are going to be providing the commitments that we told the borough president that we would provide onto the city council. And yes, of course, ICL is committed to soliciting cultural organizations as potential tenants in the ground floor commercial space in the building. Subject to financing issues, they need to be able to satisfy their lenders. They are exploring additional resiliency and sustainability measures such as incorporating bioswales, community plaza pavers, solar panels, and turbines. And all of the contractors, they're going to try to retain Brooklyn-based contractors and subcontractors, meaning LBE and minority business enterprises. I'd be happy to answer questions. I know you've been fully briefed on the matter. I'm happy to go into it in more depth if you'd like. Otherwise, available to answer questions.
Yes, Commissioner Dwan.
First of all, thank you for your desire to comply with these recommendations. So, speaking about the cultural institutions, have you had any, the applicant, any conversations with potential cultural institution for use?
I'd like to let Joe Deaver, who's the development coordinator for this project, address that.
No, thanks. We haven't started a formal outreach. This was a request of the Borough residents and something we have been concerned as well to relate to the ban local corridor. It seems a little premature since we have a year before closing and a 2-year construction term, so we're 3 years out from operating. But we will be working along with the council member and the Borough president to identify organizations and form outreach to potential users.
So would you say you're committed to that type of usage? If
We're
it makes
committed to
economic
considering it.
sense.
Yeah, subject to the economics of the project, which are still, plenty of development, so it's a little early to test out the economics. But certainly subject.
Will all of the units have kitchen facilities? Because there's a reference to the shared food facilities, which I'm just trying to understand.
No, each unit will be a complete apartment with kitchen, a full bathroom.
Other questions? Commissioner Warren? Well, first, I wanted to thank you for submitting the letter that became part of our package, responding to some of the questions that came up at the review session. It's helpful to have those responses in such a succinct way, and maybe creates the appearance of a inattentive commission by not asking a ton of questions, but you answer them all. So that's just a very efficient way of handling it, and thank you for that. I wonder if you could, actually, I have 2 questions. One is whether you could elaborate a little bit on the relocation plan. Will any tenants remain in the existing building while the construction is going on? And then I have a question about the building design, which I realize is not actually before us in this application, but I'm curious about the choices.
We're happy to address both questions. Chris Copeland is the Chief Operating Officer, and he can address with more detail than I can. We did sign up, the questions about relocation, and John Wolfling, who's the project architect, is available to answer design questions.
Good morning, I'm Chris Copeland, the Chief Operating Officer at RCL. So currently we have around 150 people living there who are people with mental illness who are there in a transition period from either hospital or homelessness or from other facilities. So the relocation plan for all of those will either be to similar facilities across New York, either the facilities that we own and operate or other facilities. But in addition, we're also creating an equivalent number of treatment homes within scattered throughout the community. So some people will have the opportunity to move into their own independent apartments as well. We will be offering people the right to return if they wish. This has been their home for a number of years. So for people who are able to manage in a independent living environment, we will offer that as a return.
But will the existing building be vacant during the construction period? So you'll empty the whole place out and do this work?
Yes.
But you feel that you have enough other capacity with your other sites to be able to move people around and
Yes, we
not leave anyone homeless as a result of
absolutely
this?
not, yes.
Good morning, my name is John Wolfling, from Debt Architect. If you'd like to, I can quickly go through the design, or do you have specific questions?
My question was really about the design choice here. You're proposing something really quite starkly different from what current building looks like, and so I'm curious to know a little bit more about the thought process. And I see what look like some very large windows, which would imply large apartments behind, but I imagine that's not the case. What's going on with the windows?
That is not the case, and it is the case. Let me describe this one. So you're right, it is, the expansion is intended to be different than the existing building. And that's a very intentional move. It's meant to be a dramatic distinction between the existing and the proposed, but in the same way to be respectful of the historic nature of the existing building. We're picking up some of the administration patterns, for instance, warranty laws. Kind of see that in the rendering on the left. The larger windows that you're seeing are actually a grouping of windows. So there's several apartments that have gathered into those horizontal sections that you see. So they are smaller units in there, but they're also compliant with HPD design standards. So they are accessible and compliant with those standards.
Other questions for Mr. Wolf? Or for the applicant team? Well, thank you to the applicant team.
Commissioner Levin, I'd just like to say I'm always happy to conserve the commission's time. And in the future, happy to write letters that help you.
And the record will show that the questions were asked. Thank you to the applicant team. We don't have any other speakers registered on this matter, but if there's anyone in the audience. Okay, the public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Borough on Brooklyn, calendar number 32, CD9, C170316 PCK, a public hearing in matter of an application for the site selection and acquisition of property concerning Maple Street open space and garden.
Our first speaker in support will be Kelsey Whipple.
Hello. My name is Kelsey Whipple, and I'm a project planner in the Planning and Development Division for the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. I'm here to testify on behalf of the Park Sealer application number C170316 PCK for the acquisition of property by the city and site selection of Brooklyn Block 5030 Lot 72. The undeveloped lot is located at 237 Maple Street, bounded by Rogers Avenue and Nostrand Avenue, and is approximately 6,000 square feet in size. The lot is currently zoned R6 for medium-density residential, and the acquisition and site selection actions will continue the use of this passive open space and community garden. The lot was the site of a single-family detached home which became vacant after the death of its residents. It burned down in 1997 and was demolished by HPD the same year. The lot had sat vacant from 1997 to 2013. And in 2013, neighborhood residents raised funds and worked to transform the lot into a community space to grow fresh produce and provide open space by removing debris, building gardening beds, and landscaping the site. Today, the project site has been partially improved with garden beds, seating, landscaping, a small one-story storage shed, and composting facilities. The project site is surrounded by single-family detached and multi-family residential buildings in Brooklyn's Community District 9, which is identified as having a low open space ratio of 0.8 acres per 1,000 residents. Moreover, a portion of the Prospect Lefferts neighborhood is currently outside of a walk to a park, which is defined as a quarter-mile walk to small parks or playgrounds and a half-mile walk to large parks and recreation areas. The acquisition of this parcel will bring approximately 3,000 New Yorkers within a walk to a park. Parks proposes maintaining the project site's current use as a passive open space and community garden with no plan to change the current use of the project site. Upon acquisition, Parks plans to install new fencing and signage, repair the sidewalk in front of the site, and make minor improvements to the site's passive open space area. Improvements would occur after the acquisition of the lot by the city is complete, and Parks has consulted with the community regarding improvements to the site. A portion of the project site will be licensed, maintained, and used as a green thumb community garden, while another part of the space would be designated and maintained as public open space for passive recreation. Thank you.
Questions for Ms. Whipple? Commissioner White?
Just, will there be any seating benches?
There are currently a few seats available, as well as a picnic table. In consultation with the community, we intend to install some seating in the passive area.
And who's going to be managing?
So a portion, as I mentioned, will be licensed as a green thumb garden. The other portion will be the responsibility of the Parks Brooklyn maintenance team, but we anticipate that we will likely have some sort of agreement with the gardeners to help us maintain the passive space as well.
And the public won't have access to the garden portion? Or-
So we actually, again, this depends on conversations with the gardeners and community members, but from initial conversations, it seems as though the gardeners are not necessarily interested in having a fence between the sites, but rather a more passive barrier like bushes or landscaping to indicate the separation between the two spaces.
Two questions. One is, can you just remind the commission what the hours of area would be?
Sure.
And the second question is, are there any maple trees on Maple Street?
To answer your last question first, I'm not sure. There are a few trees on site though that we intend to include, including this beautiful willow tree that provides ample shade, which kind of helps designate where the passive seating area would be. In terms of green thumb hours, technically for the license agreement, gardens are required to be open for a minimum of 20 hours per week. This site would, the garden is currently open at all times, and we intend that this space will likely maintain parks hours more generally, which is, I believe, 6 or 7 a.m. until 30 minutes after sunset.
Just the technicality, if the ownership of the parcel is, as it says here, unclear, well, from whom is the city acquiring the parcel?
Sure, so we do not know yet, as you can tell. We plan to move ahead with this acquisition, and hopefully the issue of the title will be resolved by the time we're ready to move forward with the purchase. If not, Parks can proceed on parallel track of the eminent domain procedures law. So it really depends on timing.
Just going back to your previous point, is there a way to memorialize that with the green thumb group, not to put a fence and rather put, as you mentioned, maybe bushes or some kind of green barrier? I hate to see a fence in the middle of this open space.
So based off of my conversations with them, they feel the same way, and there are several gardeners here who can probably speak to that a little bit better. I don't see an issue with it. A large part of the reason that we would need that designation is also because of certain uses like composting, which are very much specific to garden use, as well as growing vegetables are very much a garden use and can't necessarily be done on public open space. So it's much more a designation for use rather than delineation and separation of the space. I also have some other photos on there.
Mr. Reade?
Good afternoon. Good morning. So I just wanted to follow up on questions that Commissioner Knuckles and Commissioner Dweck asked and kind of combined the two. So supposing that you two go out and find the owner and the owner objects to anyone being on this property or doesn't want to convey the property, is the intent to continue with the garden, continue with them in domain, or would you then relinquish the property back to the owner?
So currently those who claim to have title have brought a case that it says they have ownership. The courts have required them to allow the gardeners to exist currently on the site. We would still proceed with condemnation if the current owners who have claimed that they don't want a garden, they're known developers in the neighborhood who have a record of fraudulent deed practices. We would still continue with condemnation. Those who have been found to be the missing and unknown heirs of the site, we have had conversations with and are interested in having keeping this as a community garden and selling the property to the city.
That's good. Thank you.
other questions? Thank you, Ms. Whitcomb. Our next speaker in support is Seth Kaplan.
Thank you. I just have a brief statement on behalf of the garden. Myself, the Maple Street Community Garden has grown to be an important symbol, not just in our district, but in Brooklyn and the city beyond. The garden's fight has eliminated predatory practices in home ownership and highlighted the need for neighborhood green spaces as part of responsible urban planning. Acquiring this property sends a message that gardens are an important part of our future communities.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Lee? Thank you. Our next speaker in support is Thomas LaFarge.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for your attention to all of this. I'm Thomas LaFarge, a member of the Maple Street Community Gardens. I thought I would give you a brief overview of the function that the garden serves in the community. Many of the people that you see here now are the same people who cleared out what was an empty lot filled with trash 5 years ago, and who have been developing the garden and the passive open space in there since then. The use that the Parks plans to put the lot to, if they acquire it, is essentially the same use that it's receiving now. That is, anybody in the neighborhood can go into that space now and use it recreationally. Anybody in the neighborhood can participate in the gardening activities with just a little bit of coordination with the existing gardening group. We have 2 Google groups set up for households that receive email from us. The larger one, which is a group of non-members, is at 226 households. Some of those are single people, some of those are families, as you can imagine. And then we have 62 dues-paying members who pay $20 a year just help support the garden. That's large for what you might imagine a community garden to rope in. I'm not going to say that all of those people are in the garden every day, but all of them show up. And many of them, I can't even say most, but many of them participate in the various activities that the garden maintains, including maintenance of the public passive open space that we have now. The neighborhood that we serve is, I don't know exactly what to call it, whether we call it Southern Crown Heights or Northern Flatbush, but it is essentially the area between Empire Boulevard and Linden Avenue and between Ocean Avenue and Albany, roughly speaking. All of the households that I mentioned all are located within that area, and people come from that far. We maintain, besides the community garden and the open and the passive space, we maintain an active and very popular, very successful composting program for household waste. Many people bring their, and I'm not sure that all of them are on our email list, but many people bring food scraps to us to be composted. Because we're open all the time, they don't have to freeze them and then take them up to Grandpa Falls on Saturday. For me, there are probably 2 values I would like of the garden that I would like to speak to. First of all, I am a senior citizen, and having that place nearby to go and sit for a couple of hours. There are seats.
If we could ask that you quickly mention the second value, and then we'll turn it over to questioning.
It's neighbors in a very diverse neighborhood working together collaboratively.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. LaFarge? Thank you. Our next speaker in support is Bob Trevor.
Commissioners, good morning. My name is Bob Troiber. I live at 229 Maple Street. That's that building right there. I'd like to say that Maple Street is a diverse neighborhood. We welcome all sorts of trees. We welcome many maple trees, willow trees, even those tree of heaven that everybody hates. When I moved to the neighborhood This was a garbage dump. Weeds were chin high. There was a decrepit, falling down chain link fence that I had to duck, that I didn't take my eye out every time I was walking to the subway. It was filled with trash. It attracted trash. People would park their cars and dump their trash on the sidewalk because it just looked like that's where you're supposed trash belongs. It had vermin. It was just a really creepy, disgusting thing. Now, as the song says, it's covered with flowers and plants and vegetables. It's become a neighborhood amenity. I know we call it the community garden, but it's really something that's pulled the neighborhood together. Most of the folks that live on Maple Street, majority of them are homeowners. It's primarily, historically, at least for the last 50 years, a West Indian, Caribbean neighborhood. The community garden is a venue where you got, newcomers to the neighborhood, the folks that have lived there for a long time, mingling, whether it's working at the garden or dumping up compost, or just seeing folks sitting under the willow tree, chilling, catching some breeze, intergenerational conversations. There's not a lot of opportunity. It's a 10, 15-minute walk to Prospect Park, and I love Prospect Park, but I don't have that kind of interaction because of the intimacy of the space. So I think it's something, it's a place that sustains the culture. People who are new to the neighborhood are able to learn about the culture of the people who have been living there for the past 50 years. And I think that's really an amazing thing, in addition to the plants and the vegetables, which in the summertime I come home and I'll grab a couple of slices of lettuce and stuff, and I'll come home and have a salad, and that's really awesome. As far as land use, I think it is a small plot of land that has enormously increased the property values and the desirability of living in that neighborhood. And I think it's a really good thing. If you're over there, you should come by, sit under the willow tree, because it's really pleasant.
Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Troiber. Questions? Commissioner Levin.
Just curious to know how the community got itself pulled together and began working to clean up the garbage dump and turn it into what it is now.
Okay, so real quickly, also on the block, some homeowners, married couple starting a family, the pregnant mother-to-be is an attorney. She just got really steamed at all the trash and stuff. Her husband got a grant to do some cleanup. My neighbor across the street let us use his driveway, and we got a bunch of chairs, and everybody sat and talked about it. Department of Sanitation let us use some rakes and stuff, and so we just started talking. We just talked to each other.
So, but you say you had access to there wasn't a fence? Was there a fence?
It was all it was falling down.
Okay.
The fence was
So
falling
you
down.
can get in and out without it?
Yeah, it's going.
So great.
It sure sounds like there could be a textbook case study of grassroots community organizing. Other questions for Mr. Troiber? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next speaker in support will be Teresa Westerdahl.
Hi, I'm Teresa Westerdahl. I live on Sullivan Place, which is a few blocks up from the garden. It's in Crown Heights. This is, I guess, in PLG. But it's the only place. I'm a mother, and I have a young daughter. And this is the only place that we can go to garden in the entire area. The Botanic Gardens isn't too far away, and we can go there, but it's not free. You can't garden there unless you pay a fee and your child joins the class. So we've been coming here to this garden for several years with our friends, our families, and participating in growing seeds, hanging out, picnics in the park where we've been able to interact with. I really am into the youth and education and learning and the ability to have a green space where the kids can go and grow stuff. This is the only one for quite a distance. So we have picnics sometimes where one thing that I've liked is a lot of kids will come into the garden when you're giving away, like we'll have like veggie burgers. None of the kids had had a veggie burger, ever. And we gave out a bunch of veggie burgers to kids that had never had them, and that made me happy. And then the kids are there, and then you can give them an opportunity to see what's going on in the garden. Anybody can come here, anybody can grow things. It's been an open space for us to go to for years now. And we've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, and I've learned quite a lot that I was not aware of with real estate grabs, people able to take space away very sneakily, and genealogy studies, and just getting to know people in my community. I would have never met any of these people if it weren't for this garden and other children in the neighborhood. It's been fantastic. So I'm just really hoping we can go forward with this garden. I'm also a member of the Park Slope Food Co-op, and if this is a green space, I'm able to use my hours as a FTOP member toward working in this garden, because the Park Slope Food Co-op allows you to use, it has to be a green thumb space in order for us to use our hours. So that'll bring a lot of people in there working with the community. So, thank you. Any questions?
Questions for Ms. Westerbaum? Thank you for giving us that different perspective. Helpful.
Okay.
Our next speaker in support is Diane Lee.
Good morning, it's Diane Lynn.
I'm sorry.
I'm a resident of Prospect Leopard's Garden, and we're a community that really very much identifies as a community. And so this is one place that we can get together that is a green space. I'm also a gardener, and this group growing of vegetables is very productive. Right now, we're sort of amazed at what the recent rains have brought to our tomato plants are growing, and all of our plants are growing. And we do not have individual plots. We have community plots that we work together and distribute together. And we'd love to be able to have enough vegetables to be able to distribute them to maybe some of the senior citizens in the neighborhood, as well as flowers. We have a really nice flower garden that we're just getting started. I just read that the city is considering making green roofs all around the city for the reason of combating the heat that continues to rise. And here we have a beautiful green space and a place where we can sit, as well as grow vegetables and flowers, which has really helped beautify the street. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Questions? Thank you very much. Our next speaker in support is Hannah Nyoku.
Good morning. My name is Hannah Nyoku, and I live in Crown Heights. The garden is about 6 blocks away from me, and I found it actually because I was looking to heal myself from depression. When I returned from Nigeria, where I'm originally from, I fell into depression, and I was just looking for a way to get back into nature and just get back to what I know to be natural for me, which is communing with people, communing with nature. And all around me, there was no other garden except for open garden, except for Prospect Park, Botanic Garden. And the only other one that's next to us is a Lincoln Place, but that's locked actually. And you have to have a plot. It's just not as community. So when I discovered this garden, I joined it, and along with Diane, we planted the garlics here for the first time last year, and just being a part of this amazing community of neighbors and people from the neighborhood, growing vegetables that are organic, made from compost that people in the neighborhood bring, has just been transformative for me. I come there every other day from running around Prospect Park and just meeting other people that I otherwise wouldn't have met. I am no longer in that depressive state. And I want this garden to continue to exist, and I want us to be able to reach out to other kids in the community, people in the community who can find themselves again, or who can get back in a better mental state just from communing with nature, because we don't have that, and just living in a society or Brooklyn that has a lot more concrete than life. We need more spaces like this for our mental health, and there are studies that have shown that open spaces, green spaces, help reduce cardiovascular disorders, definitely with diabetes, introducing kids to vegetables, teaching them how food should be and what real versus fake food should be, most of us don't know that, and this is a place that everyone can come. But we can only do that if it remains permanent, and right now we can't invite a lot of people just because there's some restrictions, but we want to be able to do that if the park supplies it. So please consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you for such a beautifully personal perspective, Ms. Njoku. Questions? Thank you. Our next speaker in support is Mara Kravitz.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mara Kravitz, and I am the Director of Partnerships at 596 Acres. We are New York City's community land access advocacy organization. We champion resident stewardship of land to build more just and equitable cities. We have been supporting Maple Street community gardeners through this process of protecting the resource they've created in their neighborhood. And I just want to thank a lot of people for working together to make this all possible. Councilmember Eugene and Borough President Eric Adams each allocated money in their budgets for the acquisition of this resource so that we can keep it. And Jesse Hamilton, our state senator, and your Assemblywoman Diana Richardson also have supported this space. And of course, I want to thank the Parks Department, staff, and the gardeners for really doing that work of creating something that's worth protecting. And I agree, this is an incredible example of what can happen when we look at our neighborhoods, think about how we can transform abandoned spaces and have those who are living most close to them make those spaces serve whatever needs are local, and then partner with different levels of the city, advocates at different levels, different agencies to create the spaces that we know our neighborhoods need. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kravitz. Questions? Thank you. Our final registered speaker in support is Emily Flesher.
Hi, my name is Emily. I've been a resident of Prospect Lovers Gardens for a little over 6 years now, and most of my neighbors have the things I wanted to talk about in terms of what value the garden brings to the community. But for me personally, I work and I'm in school, and just the ability to have the ability to go to a place like this, a mini oasis in a very, very densely populated neighborhood, is just enormously beneficial. I've met so many people in the community through this space, so being able to see everybody kind of mobilize and create something that they are kind of missing in the community is just really amazing to watch. And it's also just a great space to go and relax and get a long day. I can't emphasize how important it is to see lots of land like this serve the community instead of large development buildings.
Questions? Yes,
Just a comment, Madam Chairman. You know, it's in contrast, we just had two, let's say, nice sized rezonings, and we had no speakers. And in contrast, we see the community come out, it's refreshing. We see how many people are so passionate about a simple community garden. It just gives us, as planners, a different perspective on the priorities of communities. Just brought out 10 speakers, perhaps, as opposed to on some other projects, including massive amounts of affordable housing. So. I want to just thank you for coming and for all the speakers who came out today to speak about this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who are interested? I will just echo Commissioner Dweck's remarks. Knowing that this had received support from the community board, knowing from the review session, one could intimate that the commission was very favorably disposed. The fact that you took the time to come just speaks about community. And I have that as a personal note. As a gardener, I look at those photos and want to get my fingernails dirty. So with that, the public hearing is closed. Yes,
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a correction to calendar number 25. I called the wrong subject matter, and I'd like to reread that.
I'll just note the commission one of the Staten Island items, and it was just a wrong street address that was given, so for the record, we're going to correct it.
I'm going to read it correctly. Okay, Borough of Staten Island, calendar number 25, CD3 N170023, RCR, in the matter of an application for the grant of a certification concerning 2835 Veterans Road West. And the votes was on yes. Dare to say? Yes.
Oh, good, I vote no.
Let the record show that that was said. Okay, and it is my pleasure for the first time since assuming this position to close a public hearing before noon. So good morning to you all.
Great,